All right, welcome to the ELC channel. So today we're going to take a look at an important topic within content creation. So last time we talked about blog posts and informational search query traffic online, but we're going to take a look at high intent service pages, or in this case, practice area pages is a little bit more fitting. So let's go ahead and dive straight into this. We're going to look at another live SERP result here. So we're looking at best accident lawyers near me, and this is search from Center of Orlando. So I'm just going to grab somebody off of here that I've been looking at who serves people in different cities. So I think it is super easy to understand how many pages you might need on your website if you are only working in one city, because at that point you just produce a practice area page for each case type, each type of case that you're trying to target online. That's pretty standard. But if you are, let's say, like this law firm here, you might be wondering how to kind of go about having different targeting, or how to target different cities. So we have a home page here. And what I'm going to assume here is the homepage is probably not targeting one city over another. And actually already I can see just by the title of the homepage, it is written for Florida, so for the whole state. Now, if you are multi-state, this would be even more zoomed out as far as not targeting any specific geo. But in this case, I guess they probably only serve people in different cities within Florida. So if we scroll down and we try to look at other locations that they have, usually written in the footer here, here's the pretty much like the use case that I'm targeting for this video is how many pages do you need if you're trying to target all these different locations? So as I kind of just explained, it depends on how many cities, or if you do multiple states, how many states, and in what region. All of these, and also historical ranking, historical performance of your website, all of that goes into how you might want to structure it. But we're not going to talk about structure in this video. We're just going to take a look at the core understanding of how many pages you need on the website. So while I was talking here, I do have this website being crawled. And this is with Screaming Frog. We can cover this in other videos because it's a great tool that is used by pretty much every SEO marketer, or a different equivalent of this tool. But if you take a look at a website like this one, we can already start to see a few key things to point out. So while they do serve Orlando, as we could tell by their ranking that we started with, you can start to see a level of categorization being done here just by the paths of their URL. Now, not every law firm does it this clean to where it's easy to interpret just at a glance without loading the pages, but this is going to be a good example because we can see if we sort all the URLs crawled by alphabetical order, we can start to see that they have sections for Claremont. I'm going to go ahead and export this so I can do a zoomed in look. All right, so now that we have it on a spreadsheet, I can zoom in and make this a bit easier to look at. So we can see with the path that they're doing, they've got the areas we serve. This is totally up to you if you want to add a whole folder section to that. But we can see Claremont, and they've got bankruptcy lawyer. Not only do they have a page for bankruptcy lawyer, but they have a child page to that parent page for chapter 13 and chapter 7. So these are like very important types of bankruptcy, obviously, that you would want to target. So in this case, we can see, okay, well, if I want to target bankruptcy cases in Claremont, how many pages do I need? Well, under that understanding of most of them that you want to target being 13 or 7, then you could say, okay, you need one page for bankruptcy lawyer. You need a separate one for people that search for a chapter 13 bankruptcy lawyer, and you need another one for chapter 7. So the next question, if I want to target a different city, if I want to target bankruptcy in another city, What do I do? You just go ahead and produce the same three sets of pages over, but you target that other city. So, no, you can't copy paste the content and switch out the city mentions for a different city. If you do that, it might work if you do it for two cities, but once you do it for three, four, five, six, so on, you'll notice that you actually bring down the quality of your domain. Obviously, there's no score that you can actually get, it's all hidden from Google and other search engines, but it's actually very easy to see at a scale when you go ahead and produce very repetitive and the same type of content. Google already understands that as, okay, well, it's not worth going through and reading, like I just did with my tool. I had to crawl through every page of the website to get a good look. Why would Google spend its resources doing that if it can already assume that all your pages are the same thing? It just switches out the city. So what happens when Google makes those determinations? Well, they're going to save their money. They're not even going to put your page up on Google. So you won't actually be able to compete if you're just doing that, if you're being that lazy. So the simple answer to that, because obviously I can do a separate video to go into how I optimize the given pages. And I don't write the content myself. I have writers do it. So it's really just relaying information to the writer. But if you look at bankruptcy pages, the top ones in Claremont, you want to follow what competitors are using. So instead of just putting down some lazy content boasting your own law firm, you might want to talk about all different types of bankruptcy, and you might want to section them off into subheadings. Maybe in one city, everybody's talking about a certain set of bankruptcy types, while maybe in another city, they're talking about other sets of bankruptcy types. Maybe in one city, you find that people have giant pages, like 2,000 word pages, because they're going super in depth into bankruptcy law, whilst other cities, maybe smaller ones, you can get away with like 500 words of, maybe 100 to 200 words boasting your law firm and why you might want to hire them for bankruptcy, where the rest of it is explaining a little bit about bankruptcy law and how it differs in that state. If it is a big city, maybe you can find reasons to differentiate how bankruptcy law works in different cities, or maybe by county. You might be able to do that so that it adds uniqueness to each one, but they do have to be unique. And then we did start this query with car accidents. It's just that was the first thing that came up on the crawl, but we can see here for this example. So for Claremont, they decided to do the car accident page, but also child pages talking about distracted driving accidents, drunk driving accidents, fatal driving accidents. I don't know if this isn't too much of a common one that I would do, fatal, because a lot of times you might notice that Google search looks exactly the same if you search fatal car accident lawyer and car accident lawyer. So in that case, there is a level of you have to have somebody check, do you actually need to write a separate page for that at all? So it's very easy to get a definitive answer. Just check Google and you can see if you need the separate page or not. But that's where now for a big city like Claremont, maybe you do need, I highlighted way too much. Maybe you do need all of these separately in Claremont if you want to fully cover all the queries for car accidents. But maybe if you're looking at Winter Park or some sort of like a smaller area, you might realize that regardless of how you search for it, Google's still just serving you main car accident pages. If that's the case, then you can go ahead and skip the cost of writing all these child pages and just incorporate all of those different situations into your main page. That's basically what I would go and tell the writer. And now the writer who's experienced in legal writing, they already have their basic answer as to what the page should talk about. The rest of it comes down to fine tuning and making tiny adjustments. So we can look at different tools that help you do that in a scalable way, in a way that even your writers are okay with doing. But that's pretty much the gist of it. So hopefully that gives you just this example and looking at how this law firm does it. Thankfully, their URLs are nice and clean. So at a glance, we could take a look at this and understand the concept without having to read a bunch of different pages. But let me know if that answered your question as to how many pages I actually need to write, how many practice area pages, right, for my law firm, um, based on what I'm trying to target. So the rest of it is structure differences, targeting states versus cities, targeting counties maybe. So yeah, if you have any other questions, let me know. Otherwise, check out the rest of the YouTube channel. Give me a like if this helped you out. And for more content like this, go ahead and subscribe to ELC, our YouTube channel. Thanks so much for watching.